And welcome everyone. I am Diane Cole, and I work with Jen Eloisi, who is the program director for the conference. She's also the program director for the American Association for Cancer Education. I'm the program director for the Cancer Patient Education Network. So we work together to she helps me a lot in helping to make this possible today. And so if you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to put them in the chat. We'll make sure that we answer those. Hopefully I will answer most of your questions in the presentation today. And I'd also like to welcome Michelle Williams, who will be providing information on the abstract judging part of this, and you will see her a little bit later in this presentation. So we're really glad to see you, and I want to just remind you the session's being recorded. We will make it available to you after the presentation so that if you want to review it, or if there is a poster judge who was not able to make it today, then there is availability for viewing this presentation afterwards. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Today we are going to do two things. We're going to review the logistics of judging, and we're also going to review the criteria for poster judging as well. I will be reviewing the logistics, and Michelle Williams will be reviewing the criteria a little bit later. So you will receive your poster assignments by Wednesday of next week, October the 6th. We did receive a really great response from our multiple emails last week for poster judges. So we now have a little over 50 judges. That is to judge about 100 and between 110 and 112 posters. And each poster will be assigned 3 judges. So it looks like we will have each poster judge will be assigned about 4 to 6 posters at this point. I think that's really reasonable. And if anybody has a concern about that for yourself, I know that I've had some emails from folks. Please let us know. We want to assign you what feels comfortable to you. But you will receive those by Wednesday, October the 6th. The first job that you have is to review the posters on the virtual platform, which is where everyone will be attending the conference. And that's to say, if you are a poster judge, we do need you to register for the conference because that's how you get access to those posters. If you're not planning to register for the conference, just let us know because we will need to not have you judge posters. We'll need to make sure that anyone who is judging has that access to the posters. I'm going to bring up the platform so that you can see what this is going to look like when you go in. The platform is called Feed Loop. And when you go in, you will see a lobby. You'll see our banner, and this is going to look a little bit different. This has not yet been pulled together, but this part of it will be sort of an introduction to the conference and some information for you. In the left-hand side of the platform, you'll want to go down to posters. And so you will see in that part of the platform all of the posters that will be presenting for the conference. And you will see on the left-hand side a listing of those posters. You will be able to search for those posters by the last name of the first author of the poster, or you can search on the poster by P55. You know, whatever you've been assigned, you can do that. So let's say I want to go to P55, it takes you to that poster. You can also search on the poster based on the topic of that poster. So it gives you an idea. This is not completely connected yet, but it will list the posters that are under that topic. And so you can also search on the posters that way as well. I'm going to go to P4 because that's the one that we have most of the information up on the website for. And this is what it will look like when you search on that poster. So it will provide a banner for ICEC 2021. It gives you the information about the title of the poster and the first author. It also under that will list all of the other authors for that poster. It allows you to be able to email that author. So if you hit that button, it will automatically open up an email where you can email that author as well. You can also start an individual chat with that author, and it provides you a way to be able, and this only goes to the author of that particular poster. So if you do that and the poster author is not currently online, there will be a notification that will be sent to that author's platform, and that notification will come up here to the right-hand side. So if you are a poster presenter or anyone else, and someone has sent a message to you in a chat, when you go on the platform, you will see those notifications in that on the platform. Then if you go down, you will be able to actually view the presentation. These presentations are 5 minutes or less. So for each poster, you will want to view the presentation. You will want to view the poster PDF. And I'll talk a little bit more about what this might look like for the posters later in the presentation, but the poster PDF is there. And then it provides more information about other things poster related that are going on for the conference. So the private chat can be provided here, or it can be started down here as well. And so it gives you an idea of what your private chat is going to look like. You can also send a chat to the group of people who are currently on the page that you're on down here at the right-hand side and start a chat down here. So there are lots of ways to communicate with the group that might be a part of that page or with the individual presenter for that poster. If you would like to have a better view of the video or of anything else specific to this page, you can just click these arrows and you can see that much better. It gives you the whole page so that you can view that.
And the video, once you start playing it, just like most videos, has a full screen button so that you can make the video full screen.
Yeah. So thank you, Jen, for that. So it's a really great way of being able to navigate these posters and take a look at them. I will say, as a poster judge, as you're looking at this information, you may want to take some notes because we'll go over this, but you will be submitting a SurveyMonkey at the end so that you can provide your information and so that it can be allocated for the presentation at the very end of the conference. Okay, we're going to go back to the PowerPoint. So in terms of how this is going to be done, again, there will be 3 judges per poster. You will ask, after viewing the video and the PDF and the abstract, you will ask each of your poster presenters that you're assigned to one question via the email or chat. And you will find that in the review form, there is a question that says something like, how does your poster presenter ask your question? So you're actually judging on how your poster presenter answers that question. So you will want to make sure that you identify yourself as a judge when you ask that question so that the poster presenter is aware that they are being asked a question and they need to be very thoughtful about how they answer that question. If you were a part of poster judging last year, you will know that you'll remember that we did a pretty extensive conversation with the poster presenters last year. We had Zoom sessions with the judges that were scheduled, and we are not doing that this year. So that question that you are asking via email or private or public chat is going to take the place of that Zoom session. There is going to be an interactive live poster session on October the 15th. You are welcome to join that session, of course, but this should not be a part of your judging. We are really asking that your judging be really based on what you see on the platform and that question, because we want this to be very interactive and comfortable for the people who are poster presenters. So just wanted to let you know that that was taking place, but we just want to make sure that that's not going to be a part of your judging process. And then we are asking that all scores be submitted electronically by Saturday, October the 16th at 10 a.m. And that's so that we can have that scoring ready for the final ceremony, which starts at 2. And we can make sure that we have the information we need for those winners, for the poster winners. We will have poster winners both for the professional posters as well as for the student posters. So this is something that absolutely is really important to the conference. Poster judging is very important to the conference. You will receive your electronic site with your allocation. When you receive your information about your posters, you will get that link so that you know how to interact with that SurveyMonkey, and you will know how to provide that information electronically. It's going to be a very easy process. There are just drop-down menus that allow you to be able to provide your name, drop-down menus that allow you to be able to provide information about what poster you're judging, and then it just is a loop back to the next poster that you need to judge. So it's a very easy process. There are 2 types of posters that will be judged, and you all may be familiar with this because when we asked you questions on the form, you indicated whether you were comfortable judging research or practice posters. So you will, when you get your assignments, you will be able to see which category your assignment is in. And that's going to be important because when Michelle goes over the review forms or the scoring forms a little bit later, you'll want to make sure that you are looking at either research or practice, because those are 2 separate forms. When you see the poster PDF, you will see one of 2 formats. We allowed people to put their poster in a PDF, much like what you see here on the screen. Sort of like what you might have seen if you were attending a poster presentation in person. We also allow people to put their poster presentation in 3 separate slides. So you may see more than one show of what their poster information provides, so that you can actually look at their 3 slides and see the information on those. Okay, I think that is what I wanted to cover in this part of it. And I'm going to invite Michelle to share her screen so that she can talk a little bit more about scoring the posters and what that is going to look like.
Hello, everyone. Diane, I can't share mine until you stop sharing yours.
Ah, okay. Good to know.
All right, can you all see that okay? Excellent, excellent. So it is my pleasure to talk about judging the two different types of posters. And as Diane mentioned, because we have two different types of posters or two different sets of criteria, some of the criteria are the same, but there are some key differences. So we'll start with the research posters. And so this is posters pertaining to anything related to cancer education at any point in the cancer continuum. And so this is what these are the criteria. So you'll be seeing this electronically, but these are the main criteria that we're going to be looking for our posters that are focused on research. So we look at quality of the visual presentation, sound conceptual framework, relevance to cancer education, as well as presentation. And the presentation part, because we're doing this virtual, has to do with the short video that each poster presenter has developed. So we'll start out by looking at the three criteria that are under the category of quality of visual presentation. So these are the three criteria that you'll be judging. And again, as Diane mentioned, you'll either be looking at an actual PDF of a poster, like the traditional research poster, or the 3 PowerPoint slides. So keep in mind that even if it's 3 PowerPoint slides, they should still be using good PowerPoint practices and not jamming the PowerPoints full of text and images. So these 3 criteria should apply to both of those formats. So we're looking at readability, flow of the information, as well as visual impact. And so you'll be asked to judge these different criteria under those subcategories. You know, for readability, is the poster or the PowerPoint presentation neat and not crowded? Are the fonts easy to read? For example, did they use a 7-point font to cram as much information on there as they possibly could? That's happened before, you know, so that's what you're looking for. Flow, how is the information arranged? Is it arranged in a logical manner? And then of course, visual impact. Are the graphics that they're using logical for the presentation? Are they helpful for the presentation? And so let's take a little interactive activity here. And if you've been here before, you know this is one of our interactive activities in this, but you can either unmute yourself or put in the chat your response to this question. Which font do you think would be appropriate for a research presentation, either as a poster or a PowerPoint presentation? Excellent, excellent, everyone. Thank you so much for responding. So I'm going to call on somebody that I know. I'm going to put you on the spot. So Amanda, could you unmute yourself and tell us why you selected font 3?
Sure, I chose font 3 because it's very easy to read. It's simple, it's not distracting, it looks professional. There are no whimsical characters in font 3.
Exactly. So Dr. Luque, even though font 1 is cute, right, it's not necessarily appropriate for a research presentation. So, right, so we're looking for something like a sans serif font that's rather plain but easy to read. That's the point of it. It's easy to read. Great. Thank you so much, Amanda. All right, so this is another activity that we do. So based on these 3 criteria, readability, flow, and visual impact. And this is an example of what a PowerPoint slide may look like, right? How would you score this for readability, flow, and visual impact? And again, you can put your ranking in the chat box.
Do you want us to score each separately?
No, you can just put like an overall. Thanks for that question. Just the overall score based on this. Okay, we're getting some interesting scores. So I'm just going to randomly ask Ida. Ida, would you mind telling us why you ranked it as a 2?
The readability is kind of hard because there's a lot of text on one slide, and the flow, I mean, at least for me, it's kind of like hard to follow through. I feel like it could have been easier. I feel like there could have been a better flow. And visual impact, personally, I don't really like the the purple and the black, or like the green and the black background. And yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, excellent. And Gwendolyn says full sentences are challenging to read. Exactly. And that's one of the key things too, is like, you know, the good PowerPoint rules or even good poster making rules is that information should be bulleted, again, because it's just for us to get a quick glance so that we can understand information. So those full paragraphs are very difficult to read. Excellent. Yeah, so this was a very busy slide. This is an example of something that would receive a lower score, that should receive a lower score just because of the way that it's formatted. Excellent. Questions? Sarah, I was going to ask you why you ranked it a 3, so I'm glad you gave it a 2. I was like, a 3? You're being generous. All right. All right, so what about this one? So how would you rank this one in terms of readability, flow, and visual impact? And you can put your answers in the chat box. Wow, y'all are tough. Okay, I'm seeing 2s. Okay, I'm just gonna randomly ask. Okay, okay. I was reviewing. Right. Okay, so I'm gonna ask Jamal, do you mind unmuting and saying why you gave it a 2?
Yeah, hi everyone. Actually, it is very busy to me, and the colors, even I mean, in the white and in the blue background is not that clear, and also the photos, a lot of photos below. I mean, it should be 1 or 2, not more than this. So it's so cloudy, and the colors are not well maintained.
Okay, okay. All right, Monica, would you mind unmuting and tell us why you gave it a 4 for the flow?
I think the way it's organized, it's pretty logical. But yeah, in terms of like the visual impact, I think the contrast could be better. And yeah, like the readability, they could do more bullets, less text if possible. Yeah.
Yes, good. Thank you both for sharing. And so that's why, fortunately, on the score form, these are separate. But yeah, so this is a good example of flow. So you can see how it is organized overall well. They have section headings and information flows from introduction to discussion and acknowledgements, but it is a bit busy. They do have a lot going on, especially with the pictures at the bottom. So good job, good job. All right, so this is another important, go ahead.
Can I ask what you would think the score is on that one? I'm just questioning because if we were in person and looking at that as an actual poster, you know, that writing wouldn't look so small because it would be a giant poster on a board.
Yes, so for me, I would definitely, and again, just overall, I think I would probably give this one a 3 because the flow is good, but then there are a lot of extraneous things on this that aren't necessarily helpful to the presentation. Like, for example, the pictures at the bottom, like the graphs necessary to explain the results, right? But then the pictures at the bottom, that's kind of like overkill. Isn't necessary. And if they had actually taken those out, they could have made the text bigger. Yeah. So that's, for me, overall, it would be like about a 3.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Good question. Other questions, comments? All right. So the next section on the score sheet for research posters is the conceptual framework. Now, this is a section that we as the poster committee over the years have taken a lot of time to really try to make sure that we identify how we can appropriately judge this section, since, you know, we have so many research posters are going to be focused on different areas of research. So we basically have these 3 questions that you should be looking at in terms of the conceptual framework and whether or not this is something that's really a sound project. So the first one, is the research question reasonable and clear? So hopefully the participant has clearly laid out their research question or the goal of the research, and have they made that clear? So that's one of the questions for conceptual framework. The other one is the study based on a theoretical framework or a structured framework if it is a systematic review? And that's something else to keep in mind, because there are a number of posters that are based on systematic reviews. And so whether or not the poster is based on a theoretical framework or a structured framework, for example, like with a systematic review, there are different structures for systematic reviews that people should be using in order to present results of systematic reviews. So that's what you're looking for in this section. And then also, is the methodology appropriate to answer the research question, right? So all of these things are related back to the goal of the study and helps us determine whether or not this is a sound study based on the conceptual framework and how they carried it out. Questions? Okay. Some additional questions for sound conceptual framework: are the results clearly stated, right? So do you have to hunt through the information on the poster to get the results, or do they clearly have those delineated? Another one, are the conclusions substantiated, right? Are the limitations acknowledged? There's no perfect study, right? Are implications of the findings stated? Is the relevance to other settings clear? And is the relevance to other research described? And so what we mean by this question here, is the relevance to other settings clear? For example, are they saying that this is applicable to other regions in the US, other countries, other populations, depending on the project? And this is information that all of the poster presenters have. So this is what they should be addressing. So they know that this is what they should be providing information about these different sections. Questions? Okay. Next, and this is of course important for our conference, relevance to cancer education, right? And so this is where you're asking yourself, do the results have the potential to advance the body of knowledge around cancer education? And this is a really crucial one, because we are focused on identifying the current latest findings in cancer education. Questions about this criteria? Okay. Next question is response to questions, depth and breadth of discussion. And again, because we're doing it differently this year, where the judges are just sending the participant one question, you have to judge this criteria based on their response. So did they provide you a clear and in-depth explanation, or was it a rather vague response to your question? Did they provide like an insightful response again, or was it just something vague, or, you know, just something that they didn't really take time to respond thoughtfully to? So this is based on that response to the question that you'll be sending them. So that's why it's important that if you do post the question on the chat board, that you go back and that you look at their response to the question. Questions? And just to reiterate, so this question here, this criteria is not in regards to that poster discussion session. This is specifically the question that you ask them. Okay. Yes. All right, so now we're going to discuss the practices posters. And so these are different in some criteria. So we're going to see some of the criteria at the beginning are the same, But in terms of practice posters, these are focused on projects or programs that were developed to meet the needs of specific need in cancer education. So it can do with actually training people in the field of cancer education. So we do have a number of programs that are designed to train undergraduates, graduates, or professionals, or these can be practices or projects that are related to actual cancer patients or other populations. So these are the criteria for practices posters. So the quality of the visual presentation, same criteria as before. We'll go over those again. Sound conceptual framework, some of the sub criteria are different, so we'll go over those. And then in this one, we have usefulness. And then the last criteria is presentation. So the quality of visual presentation, the same criteria as what we discussed with the research posters. So looking at readability, flow, and visual impact. And so let's do an activity. How would you score this one if this was an example of a PowerPoint slide? And you can put your answers in the chat. Okay. So we have a little bit wider range of scores. Carolyn, would you mind expanding on your statement?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel like they gave me any information about the project overall to be able to interpret all these graphics.
Okay, all right. And Jamal, do you mind me asking you why you scored it a 4?
Yeah, I thought this is just an example of the presentation, how they put the information clear and the clear fonts and the colors as well. I did not go in details of that, as probably this I may accept it as one slide out of the 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good, yeah. So you're both right. So this was an example of something that would be more readable, clear font, bulleted text, but perhaps there's just isn't enough context to interpret the graphics. But yeah, so this would be a PowerPoint slide that'd be one of the 3. But yeah, so overall, I think this would also get like a higher score compared to the other ones that we looked at. All right, so what about this one? How would you score this one that is submitted as a poster? Sorry. All right, excellent. So it looks like we have 3s. So Sarah, would you mind unmuting and tell us why you graded it as a 3?
Sure. I think it seems easier to read, but there's so much information and I can't tell where to go next. I can't tell what the flow is supposed to be at all. And I could have used a little more color. And so that's why I rated it a 3.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So in terms of like overall, it is a little bit easier on the eye, but I definitely agree with the flow. This is an example of one where the flow is just a bit off because it's like you have the results above the methods and then you have this bottom part. It's kind of like, okay, where do I look next? So yeah. Good. All right. Okay, so in terms of sound conceptual framework for practices posters, as I mentioned, these criteria are going to be different from our research poster criteria in this section. So for sound conceptual framework for posters, for practices, we're focusing on questions such as, is the goal of the project clearly stated? Is the needs assessment or rationale for the project clear? Is there a clear description of the solution? And are the measures of success clearly stated? So again, wanting to make sure that the work that people are doing is relevant to cancer education, and we can tell by answering these questions here. Questions, comments on this section? Okay. And so this criteria usefulness is something that was not in research posters. So this one is focused on these two sub-criteria. Is the project sustainable, and can the solution be implemented in other hospitals or communities? So again, the presenters have information with the understanding that this is what they should be discussing in their poster presentations. So this is information that they should be able to provide. Questions? All right. And then response to the questions, same thing as before. So you're looking at their response to the question that you as a judge provide to them.
Can you go over that part again about how we communicate with them with those questions?
Sure, Diane, that's on Diane. So I will stop sharing, or any other questions before I stop sharing about criteria? Okay, so I'll stop sharing and send it back over to Diane.
You're muted, Diane.
Thank you, Jen. I'm going to share the platform here and provide information based on that question. You can ask the question in really a couple of different ways. You can email the person via this mechanism right here. It takes you directly to the email of the main author. You can start a chat individually with the person from here or from here. And that chat will go into their notifications if they are not currently on the platform. So you may not receive an immediate response, but the person should be, and they have been instructed, the poster presenters have been instructed that they will receive a question this way. So they should be checking the platform when they can to look and see if they have notifications with a question from a judge. Or you can ask a question down here in the bottom right-hand corner, which is more of a group question, but it's fine for a judge to ask a question that way as well and see what the presenter has to say. Dr. Williams, I think that you did a great job with your review, and it really, I think, provides information that allows judges to be able to then discern what kinds of questions you might want to ask the presenter that might be missing from their presentation, their PDF, or their abstract.
And as a follow-up question, so if you use the email function, do you identify yourself? I am a reviewer for your poster and I have this question.
Great question. Yes, we're really asking the judges that whenever you ask a poster presenter a question, whether it be chat or email, that you identify yourself as a judge. So the presenter knows that this is something that, you know, they need to be thoughtful in how they answer.
Well, and that they need to prioritize responding to you so that you can give them a score.
Yes. Any other questions from folks, either about logistics or anything that Jen or I or Michelle can answer for you?
I think it's very clear. Thank you so much for your great efforts.
Wonderful. I want to just reiterate thanks to all of you for your willingness to do this. This has really been a challenge this year, and a good one, because we have so many posters, so many more than what we've had in the past. And you all are really allowing us to be able to have that judging be the quality that it needs to be by volunteering to do this. So we just really appreciate the fact that you're willing to do this. And I think the fact that we have so many numbers has absolutely reduced the number of posters that we're going to have to assign to each person, which is great too.
Diane, we have a question in the chat that I think is maybe important to answer out loud for everybody, which is, when will they have access to the portal and when can they start reviewing their posters?
Would you like to answer that?
Sure. So our goal is to give not only you, but all of our attendees access to the platform next Friday afternoon. So that will be the Friday before the conference begins. And that will just give people some time to get familiar with the platform before the conference actually starts on Tuesday. We are going to have as many of the posters ready at that point as we possibly can, but I am not comfortable promising you that they will all be there and finalized and ready until the conference starts on Tuesday morning, the 12th of October. It's a lot. It's a lot of work and a lot of individual updates to every single poster that our staff is having to make to set them up.
Yeah, thank you, Jen, for that. Yeah, I mean, this is a nice change from last year, in that last year we knew that we were not going to be able to provide access until the day the conference starts. And so I think that this provides a nice opportunity, but we do want to be careful, because it has taken the team a long time to get all of these up and running, and we want to make sure that they're all available to you. So if you don't see your poster up yet over the weekend, if you'll just be patient, it will be up by the time the conference starts.
We have another good question in the chat. How long do we have to wait to get a response from the presenter before completing the grading? And I don't know if Dr. Luque or Dr. Williams want to answer that. I am not sure what an appropriate length of time would be.
So, oh, go ahead, Juan.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, since it's during the conference, probably a short time, like less than a day, I would think, or a day's time.
Maybe if you send it to them by email instead of in the chat, you might want to give them a little longer in case they're not checking their email during the conference.
Yeah, or I thought we were gonna send the questions in the chat, no?
Well, we said we could do it either way. They could send it via email or by private chat or by the public chat.
Okay, well, we probably need to meet and figure that out. That's a good question, Oliemi.
I think that there is no question that you need to have that question answered by the time you complete your forms, so that can be a part of your judging, right? So you want to make sure that you've gotten answers to those questions by the time you complete your form. Any other questions from the group? Go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any other questions, or put it in the chat.
Carolyn is suggesting that it might be easier for the poster presenters if all the questions go to one place, and then they only have to know to check one spot. We'll get back to you. How about that? We will, when we send out your poster assignments, we will make sure that information is included.
Okay, if there are no other questions, again, this is being recorded, so, and I will be sending the link out to everyone probably by tomorrow. So if you have additional questions or you want to view this again, you'll be able to do this. Again, thank you very, very much for your willingness to judge, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you at the conference. Everyone have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.